Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got a great guest joining me at this time. Very excited to have her on the podcast. On May 24th, she released her latest single entitled Crank It Up. Please welcome Ashley Wineland.
Hey, great to thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know we got quite a bit to discuss, obviously, with the latest single, plus so much more. And as I said, I'm very excited to have you on the podcast.
Yes, there's a lot to go through today.
Oh, definitely, for sure. But before we get to the latest single, Crank It Up, I'm curious for you. So what inspired you to pursue music?
I think it's just one of those things that since I was young, I've always loved the performing arts. I love to communicate stories and connect with people just through any sort of performance. And of course, as time went on and I got more education and music and such, I really gravitated in that direction more so than any other avenue. And I always like to dub it the snowball effect. I just took opportunities as they came to learn and to grow and network with people. And I've ended up where I'm at here, which is, a 10 plus year long career in country music, doing all my own stuff. I'm currently out on the road right now. So it's only growing more and more as time goes on.
Well, right on. It sounds like awesome. As you said, you've accomplished a lot throughout these 10 plus years as well, plus touring regularly as well. So I'm curious, for you, so is it a different experience recording music compared to being out on the road touring?
Yes, it's two very different modes. And I always think it's funny because everybody always thinks when tour season's over, that it almost ends up being just this glorified vacation where the next couple months until the next season starts, I'm just chilling, having the time of my life. And I usually am having the time of my life, but it's usually in the studio. So it is very different. One's a more creative process. It's just really critical thinking and making sure that we're getting the best sounds possible, going, ooh, okay, for the next year ahead, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? And then by the time you get to tour, you're just I get to go have fun now. I get to kind of get out of full-on business mode and strategical thinking, and we just get to go play the music that we've been working so hard on in the off season and get to do it in front of people. And just like I said, to me, connection's the biggest thing and the most important thing when it comes to music. So you just really get to connect with everybody and just go, this is what I work so hard for all year long.
So wait a minute. You tell me it's a myth that musicians just hang out and chillax after tour?
Yeah, at least for me anyway. I don't know, some other people might get vacation. I think I get at most probably a week before I'm right back into it, nose to the grindstone and everything, going, all right, what do we got coming up next? I mean, in all fairness too, I was even talking with my team this morning and it was all right, when you get off tour, you have this window, in September where you don't necessarily have anything going on. You could go to Nashville and we could start writing and getting the next project's worth of stuff ready to go. So if that gives you any insight or indication as to how the cycle all goes, it's pretty intense.
Oh, no, it definitely sounds like it, but obviously, touring, obviously very fun. I know it's a lot of travel and stuff, but it sounds like you're having a great time. So, how is this, the show's been going so far?
They've been good. Currently, while I'm speaking to you, we're a couple weeks into the Crank It Up tour. I'm currently in North Dakota right now, so we're making our way to Minnesota, and it's just been wonderful. To me, like I said, the bread and butter of what I do, what I work so hard for, is for the live show moments. That's just the part of music that I love the most. I love performing. And so being able to go out and see so much of the country and do the shows, and especially now that Crank It Up is out, to sing it with people in person has just been such a cool experience.
Oh, no, for sure. That's a great lead into where I was going to go with this conversation. So, yeah, May 24th, Crank It Up was released. Before we really dive into that, so how does it feel to have Crank It Up released?
It's funny because as an artist, we sit with the music for so long, and this song especially, and even the music that's to come out for the rest of this year, is stuff that we've been working on for the last year. So I'm just sitting there like, come on, is it time yet? Is it time yet? And I know my fans were probably in the same mindset as I was after a while. So, like, to finally have it out in the world, it was just like, we did it, you guys. We made it.
Well, I'm very glad. You had a very positive release with it as well. I've heard a lot of great. He's picked up by news stories, and you got a great reception for it as well. I really enjoy it because it's a nice, for me, like a blend of like you got some rock elements and country elements.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we definitely played with some new sounds, at least for me. But I've always loved music that's got really like gutsy vocals and some nice intensity and grit in the music. So it's definitely country in a lot of ways, but it definitely has some of that rock flavor that we've added into the mix.
Oh no, definitely for sure. It's definitely. Is this like? Would you consider this more of like a more of a harder like rock song, country song in your discography?
Absolutely, yeah. I think out of anything that I've released thus far, this is probably the one that has the most kind of rock elements to it. And just as like a wink and a nudge for anybody who follows me and is eager to hear what's coming down the pipeline, some of those tones and themes and stuff you'll hear in the music to come. But yeah, I think something that's really fun with the projects that I've been putting together with my producer, Marti Frederiksen and stuff, is we really creatively weave in and out of how country does some stuff get and like how much rock do we infuse here. It's all so different.
Oh no, for sure. But I really like with Crank It Up. It's like a perfect balance of like hard rock and like country. So if anyone like is on like the rock side, they'll enjoy it. If anyone's on the country side, they'll enjoy it. I think it's a very nice blend.
Whichever side of the line you fall on, there's a little something for everybody in there.
Oh, it definitely is. So I'm curious. So as you say, you've been performing this song live. So how has the reception been for Crank It Up at the live shows?
Ooh, it's been really good. It's one of those things, even for the folks who might be in the audience who haven't heard the song yet, might be new to my music and what I do. It's one of those tunes that we get started playing and everybody's like, oh, okay, this is rocking, this is really fun, and we get really into it, and my band and I really love playing it. You get to have so much fun on stage with it too, but it's had great reception live, and at some point, even the people who don't know it might look and start singing along, and you just really like, woo, living it up.
All right, it's awesome, and just based on like the studio version of it, I bet sounding live is probably performing it live is probably awesome as well. So I'm glad people are having a good reception, getting people into the show. Always good to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely a high moment in the show. Anytime I'm planning my sets and stuff, I'm like, ooh, where do I want to put it? Because it's just so much fun, and it just brings so much energy to the show.
Oh, no, for sure. So, like with the live shows, do you like change up the set, like in between shows or something like that?
I do. I do try to mix it up. I mean, there's like a foundation to the set. I really do love those songs that it's like it's a no-brainer. They're always going to be in there. But depending on where we're at, not all of our shows are necessarily the same length of time, depending on which one you show up to. I like to go through and swap some stuff out, especially places that we've been to before, and I kind of know the audience that we're working with a little bit. I really focus on custom tailoring the sets to be exactly what I know everybody's going to really love it to be.
All right, it gives a little like just change up, get a little bit of just a different flavor and style, and just it's more exciting to change it up a little bit for each city or show, especially if you've been there before as well.
Yes, well, and I think it's fun too because there's a lot of my fans that will come out to multiple shows. And so it's like no matter which show you come to, you're going to have a different experience each time because you never know what might get swapped in, swapped around, how we pair things up. So like I said, while there's some things that are always going to be in there song-wise, how they're in there and as far as the flow of the show goes, I like to mix it up.
Oh no, for sure, and definitely. Someone I've seen, bands on, kind of subsequent tour dates. Sometimes it's always cool when they change it up. Just it gives a nice, a different experience, as you said, for the people who do attend multiple shows.
Yes.
But coming back to Crank It Up, because I did want you mentioned your producer Marti, who's legend in the music industry. So how has it been working with him?
It is so fun. It's so obviously every like industry professional that you work with, everybody's got a different process, a different way of going about things. And from session one of going in and working with Marti, it's always just been so easy, which is has been something I've been so grateful for. He's got such an incredible ear, an incredible mind for music and figuring out where things all kind of like fall on top of each other. So even working in the studio with him doing vocals and everything, he knows how to pull the best performance without being like super demanding, if that makes any sense. It's just like, all right, I want you to try this. I know you got something better. Give me that. Let's try this. Let's just mix it up and see what we can get, and then just bringing it all together to create the best performance. It's been so refreshing to work with him, and we go into the mixing process, and I'm like, take the reins. You know, I'm sure whatever you come back with will be fantastic, and it always is. So, coming with Crank It Up out of the gate, we both were just like, man, this is such a strong song, and we really had such a strong faith in it that it, like I said, it was one of those no-brainer moments. We were just like, all right, that answers the question. We're just going to lead the way with that.
Oh no, for sure. And work with with the caliber of Marti, who is, as I said, a legend. He's fantastic. Worked with so many different genres and everything. He's just amazing. So I'm glad you guys are working together, meshing very well together, and it's overall a great experience for you.
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell all those years working with acts like Aerosmith and Carrie Underwood and Faith Hill and even like Miley Cyrus and stuff. It all comes into play. And it's, like I said, just so refreshing and different and fun for me to be in the studio with him.
Well, for sure. And so I'm curious, how did you meet him and start working together?
It's really funny. I actually met him like years ago through like mutual friends, basically going through Nashville, and we met, and he listened to some of my stuff as an independent and was like, man, you got a real good thing going on here. I'd love to work with you and stuff. And over the years, and especially with COVID, because it was just right before COVID that I had met him and stuff, it was one of those things where we stayed in touch throughout time, and we're just like, yeah, we want to do a project together. We want to work together. And, the stars just hadn't quite lined up just yet. And then over the last year or so, we finally were both in a place where we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's make music together. And we've entered this really wonderful partnership that is very different than a traditional artist producer standpoint. He's very involved in the music and how it comes out and what does it sound like in the songs that we pick and everything. So it's a very collaborative process between us, which is something that I personally very thoroughly enjoyed. And it's led us to be here now, creating a bunch of music together and stuff. So I'm excited for everybody to hear the work we're releasing throughout this year.
Oh, definitely. I'm excited too, and as I said, I'm glad. He's very involved. That he's got his expertise in it, and he's working very closely with you to write and record some awesome songs. Like Crank It Up is fantastic. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what other music you guys come up with.
Yes, I know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't have to wait as long for the next releases as I did with Crank It Up. So I'm just like, it's right around the corner, y'all. I can't say anything yet because my team would be like, banished. You're not supposed to say those things yet. But I can at least, slyly say you definitely won't have to wait as long for the next few drops.
Well, I'm glad to hear. I will not ask any follow-up questions about the upcoming music, but I did have one more thing I did want to ask about working with Marti. What's the biggest thing you've learned from Marti through working with him?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think one of the biggest things I've learned from working with Marti is just you don't need to overcomplicate things. He is super great at just streamlining, whether it's with vocal takes and stuff. We run through the song a couple times, make sure that we get, a couple variations of some very specific things throughout a song, and then it's like, all right, we're good. It's not complicated at all. And I think a lot of people love to go into recording sessions and really just try out the whole gamut of things and sometimes make it more complicated than it needs to be. And he's just like, nah, we'll keep it organic. We'll get the things that we really need to get that need like special attention. And then if you can't make it work out of all of that, then there's something wrong.
No, they can also, like, if you start like overcomplicating it, you might lose like some of the emotion or like the meaning behind the song, because then you're adding too much to, and you're taking away from other areas that may need it.
Absolutely. And he's all about getting the inflection and the feeling and making sure that the energy and the emotion behind it is right. So, like I said, every little detail, even though we only do so many takes, he makes sure that on the notes that it matters, on the phrases that it matters, that we're really capturing the entirety of that emotion that we're trying to capture.
Oh no, for sure. And again, the final version of the song, "Crank It Up," turned out amazing. So I'm definitely looking forward to the more new music, and I think you guys work really well together. And if "Crank It Up's" just the beginning of it, I'm very excited.
You know, you and me both. I am really looking forward to the next year of releases for everybody and just showcasing what we've been up to.
Right on, right on. Now, I did want to just transition a little bit to the live music side. I know we touched on a little bit with, mentally preparing differently to perform live compared to in the studio, but I'm curious for you. So if anyone has not seen you perform live before, like, what can they expect?
I am a very physical, high energy type performer. That is something that just brings me so much joy. I think the songs that we played throughout the show just call for it. So if you're somebody who really loves some intense performances and a lot of movement and a lot of fun, definitely the show for you. Whether we're doing the original music or even doing like some select covers that I just think are super, like, they just link really well with the music that we do. It's always very intentional. We always bring a lot of energy to it, and I like to take everybody on a little ride. We rock out a lot. But there's those valleys and stuff where we kind of go explore some more softer emotions and everything. But overall, my goal is to just entertain people, to take everybody away from reality for a little bit and just enjoy the present moment.
All right, it sounds amazing. Just with everything, and I like, there's got to be some balance between like having some more like high energy and more faster paced songs, and then having some more like slower songs, and then getting back to the faster songs. I think there has to be a nice balance with that, because it can't be all slow, it can't be all fast either.
Yeah, no, I always say to my band, I'm like, we're gonna like melt faces here for a little while, and we're gonna rock out, and then we're gonna pull it back, and we're gonna get a little sentimental, and then we'll start accelerating forward again. So like I said, we are always very intentional with how the show goes and stuff, because music is supposed to be experienced on a wide spectrum. So I want to be able to touch on all those things, but overall, the main theme is like, we're here to party, we're here to have some fun and rock out and have a good time.
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of people get behind that as well. I am definitely one of those people. So hopefully I get to catch you at a show sometime as well.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you in the audience.
But now, as we're starting to close this interview out, I just got a few more things. Probably the most challenging question I will ask you, because it's at least for everybody. What is your favorite song to perform live?
I feel like it changes depending on the night. Crank It Up's been obviously a lot of fun to sing. I just have so much fun doing really belty type songs without giving too much away. A lot of the new music that we're releasing throughout this year, we're also playing at live shows right now. So doing a lot of those songs too. There's some in that catalog, especially, that I have a lot of fun with. So those are been some of my favorites. As far as like any cover tunes and stuff go, we got some great, I think iconic country tunes like "Here for the Party." Gretchen Wilson is always really fun to sing. But we even have some like rockin' tunes that we throw in there, little Fleetwood Mac on occasion, and things like that too, that we have some fun with, that I always find really enjoyable.
Oh, sounds awesome. And I know, at least from the people I interview, I know it's a little bit of a challenging question, because there's so, all the songs have different emotions and just different meanings and everything. So, but I always ask,
I can never really narrow it down to like just one. Because like it really changes, and every night it feels different, and you might go, oh, this night this song felt really good, and it just was like an otherworldly experience, and then the next night it's something completely different. But generally speaking, those are like some of my favorites in the wheelhouse anyway.
Oh, I gotcha, for sure, for sure. Now, as we're starting to close this out, as I said, one more thing, we talk about the future plans for yourself for the rest of this year. But what have been like some of your favorite moments throughout your music career so far?
Ooh, I've had so many like sparkly gem moments that I hold in my heart very near and dear. One of the like biggest ones for me, because it was just a big bucket list moment, was we did a Veterans Day event in Arizona, and I had the opportunity to perform at what was formerly known as Auction Pavilion. I can't remember off the top of my head what the new name of it is now, but it's a 20,000 plus seat amphitheater out in Phoenix, and it was always one of my bucket list things to play a show at one of the venues that I grew up watching so many of my favorite acts play. And so I had the opportunity to do that show, and I opened up for Eddie Montgomery of Montgomery Gentry and Aaron Lewis at that event. And of course, it was for our veterans too. So a lot of the audience came from like Luke Air Force Base and a bunch of other charities that were a part of the event. So just to be able to go out there, do that show, have that moment where I'm like, man, I'm playing, one of my hometown big venues, and get to do some charity work on top of that in support of our veterans, which is a cause very near and dear to my heart. Was just one of those, I think, like all encompassing moments that will forever stand out to me.
That sounds amazing. The for the veterans, and also the arena you're at, who you're performing with. So, like, how did you feel like leading up to that show? Like, were you nervous? Were you excited? Combination. Like, how did you feel?
It was like a combo of both, if I'm being really honest, because, most of the excitement won out over the like anxiety and or stress. But we were coming out of tour season when we went into that. It was a little bit later in the year, and I think the part that stressed me out the most was it was a very strict, like, you have X amount of time to do your show, and you can't go over that. So I drilled it with my band. We built the set, and I was like, everything has to be done to a T, exactly like this, so we can get all the stuff in and still be good, time-wise with the show. But the rest of it was just really exciting. And even getting in from like bus call to the venue and getting to walk around behind stage and see all that and meet everybody. Like I said, it was just one of those moments that I was like, oh, this is what we worked so hard for. It was such a cool moment. And I look forward to having more of those cool moments as my career continues on.
Oh no, definitely, for sure. Now, last question about the event, and I will be wrapping this up. But so, how'd the event go? How'd your set go?
It was great, and especially that late in the year for music in Arizona, especially outside. Weather was beautiful. The people were wonderful. The set went according to plan, so I couldn't have been happier. I was like, we literally had it down like to a T. I was so proud of everybody in my band and just on my team. And obviously, being a hometown show for me, like my whole family was in the audience too. It was a big moment for everybody. So it was one of those things you just walked off, and I was like, we did it. I'm elated. I'm feeling like I'm on cloud nine. And then, of course, then afterwards, we get to go enjoy two incredible acts, Eddie Montgomery and Aaron Lewis both put on spectacular performances. So I was just like, overall, this night in general has just been like top notch.
I'm really glad to hear everything went well and you got to enjoy a great show as well, two amazing acts. So I'm very happy you had that experience.
Yeah.
Now, as we're wrapping this up, so what are your plans for the rest of 2024? We're already heading into June. You got half a year left in 2024. So what are your plans?
I know. So as I mentioned before, I'm currently out on the Crank It Up tour. So I got all the way through September full of shows. So a lot of my year will be spent in this bus right now on the road performing for everybody, which I am so extremely blessed to be able to say. At the time that we're speaking, the music video for Crank It Out or Crank It Up has not come out yet. It'll be coming out June 14th. So that's something a little bit down the pipeline. Everybody can go enjoy. And of course, too, as I've mentioned, little winks and nudges throughout this interview, we have a bunch of new music coming all throughout this year. I can't say dates just yet, but if everybody goes to my socials, Ashley Wineland Music, or to my website, ashleywineland.com, all that information will be up there when it is relevant, and I am, given permission by the team to let the floodgates loose and spill all the tea and stuff. So there's a lot of that coming down, and of course, you never know what might be around the corner as well. So new things are always popping up all the time, and if that's interesting to anybody, I would love to have you be a part of my fan community and follow me on socials and everything, and stay in touch, and hopefully see a bunch of you guys at a show.
Very nice. Please share and support Ashley Wineland. I will leave some links in the description of this podcast as well. If she's coming to an area near you, make sure to see her live as well. Ashley, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio. I had a fantastic time chatting with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to talk to you, sharing all the new things that we got going on this year. And for anybody who's new to my face, my music, excited to have you be a part of the community. And to my fans who have been following me, I appreciate you not only showing some support and love to me, but also to Matthew and the show. It's you guys who help support, especially independent artists like myself and shows like this. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for stopping by. For Ashley Wineland, I'm your host, always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.